there are some shocking figures out today saying that more than half of teenagers are being bullied and that girls are more likely than boys to be victims. In fact, 2 in 3 teenage girls are being bullied. I mean, they are kind of shocking facts.
Really shocking, really shocking. I mean, it's so sad to think, you know, nowadays as well, not only could you face being bullied at school, but then, of course, you go home and you've got the internet and you're never safe. You know, I was bullied at school, but I was lucky enough to go home and be able to talk to my parents and feel like I had a safe place. I mean, I was sort of bullied from the age of 11 to 15, and everything from, I think, just because I didn't look like I fitted in. I was taller than not just the girls, but the boys. I dressed smartly, and because I did ballet, I was used to having to pull my hair back and be neat. So then, you know, I was teased for that. So I was teased for not swearing because my parents taught me not to. Just silly things like that. And then sort of through to I was 15, on and off throughout the year. But generally, looking back, I had a wonderful school life experience, and most of my memories were great.
How did you cope with it, Penny?
Well, luckily with my mum's advice, reminding me that although it really hurt at the time, and I felt like the victim, she said, try to remember that they're actually the victims, the people that bully, because there's something that's disturbing them in their life that they're lacking, and that's why they're sad, and they feel like they need to make other people feel just as bad as they do.
Was it the same group every time?
It started off with kind of like a classroom bullying thing, you know, where they'd all kind of, yeah, you know, throw rubbers at her, you know, and then it kind of narrowed down to just maybe 4 or 5, but there was never just one. That's the thing with bullies. They're, you know, they always need their backup, you know, they're not brave enough.
And did you just sort of you know, knock it off, or did you sort of try and alter your appearance a bit?
No, I never altered my appearance. That was another thing. Luckily, having you know, my family to support me and give me guidance, I always said just be yourself. You know, don't ever kind of go down to their level. And I think that, you know, that was the most tremendous amount of help. And even to this day, when, you know, people might say to me, sure that skirt's not short enough? And I go, actually, it's not, and I'll roll it up. Or, you know, you're too tall, and I go put a pair of heels on. And I think that sort of stemmed from the bullies. I always allowed them to believe that they never affected me. I might have gone home and cried and got upset by it. I remember one time going through the school hall and someone came up to me and slapped me on the forehead and said spam, and then someone else giggled and they did it. So the next day I just wrote the word spam on my head. I went, yeah, so I've got, you know, I'm showing a big expansive forehead, and, you know, so I just, rather than showing them that it affected me, I kind of got strong. But I was lucky to be one of the ones that could cope with it, because there's so many that... you know, would shy away and crumble, and they were the ones that were really victims.
Because it is scary, and also when you're at that age when you're so, you know, you're trying so hard to be a part of, you know, to fit in. And of course, I grew up in a showbiz family, so I stood out a million miles at school. And in primary school, I was bullied by a boy for 2 years, and that was physical bullying, where he just tripped me up, and I got sent home with a big egg lump on my head and grazed knees, and he pinched me, and they were in the days when teachers and the headmaster, even the dinner ladies, could smack, you know. And this kid, you know, he got all the punishment, but nothing helped. And it took me 2 years, and then one day he just caught me in the wrong mood, and he kicked me in the shin. And I said, if you do that again, I swear to God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he did it again, and I chased him. And it took 3 dinner ladies to pull me off. But I have to say, from that day on, he never even spoke to me again. And then when I went to senior school, of course, my sisters were all on the telly then, and I'd walk in and they'd be like, your sisters are rubbish. They didn't say rubbish, they said a swear word. Your sisters are rubbish. So my way of dealing with it was like you, I'd go, I know, I'm so embarrassed. But it kind of takes the fuel out of them, because they think, we've nowhere to go now with that, because she's not bothered.
What must be so troubling for them to feel like they have to behave that way to somebody else? It must be having... I always say to my son, if he says, oh, so-and-so said this, or I've, you know, blah, 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 I said, well, or he was behaving badly and upset me, and I said, well, I know it's difficult, but try to turn the tables around a bit and think, why were you behaving like that? Why were you being mad? Maybe something happened to him at home.
I know, but it's hard at that age to have any kind of sympathy towards the bully.
I mean, I didn't have any bullying experiences at school, and I put it down to one thing, and that was sport. I was really, really good at sport, so when it was sort of playtime and stuff like that, I would be training or whatever, and you're always in part of a team. You know, you're with a team of girls, you're off training together, you always got your hair in a ponytail, looking a bit sweaty with a tracksuit on. And so you've sort of got your pack of friends around you, which protects you. And also, I suppose, because you're kind of in the A team for sports, then people sort of think of you as a winner or whatever. I don't know, but for me, that I think was my
that
salvation.
definitely helps. It helps.
And I totally have pushed my daughters towards sport for that very reason. And I think in a way maybe that is why boys don't, you know, boys kind of focus on kicking a football around the playground rather than sort of standing in the corner going about that girl over there.
The boys, they kind of end up having a little fight and it's all over. They're playing football the next day, whereas girls tend to get really kind of bitchy and nasty to one another. And
I remember my daughter Bobby, when she was at primary school, she was quite a girly girl, always in pink and, you know, like little tutus and, you know, whatever she wore. And I just remember one day she came home from school and she said to me, "I'm never wearing pink again." A little girl had said to her at school, "Oh, you like Barbies, you like pink." So I then had to get rid of all the pink out of the wardrobe because she wouldn't go back into school in the pink. And then when her friends came to the house, we had to hide the Barbies because she didn't want them to know that she still played with Barbies.
There's always one, isn't there?